my future legends, and welcome in this video. Today I'm going to explain how to write a research paper. Well, a research paper is a class preparing paper that shows that you understand a certain science in its methodology or language, and of course structure and style. So right now it's your time to really get your work done, and I'm going to help you with this. With your research paper you are going to answer a scientific question. Is it history, biology, whatsoever? But to really answer this scientific question and to get a great mark at school, you really don't have to just pay attention to the topic. You have to pay attention to the language and structure even more, in my opinion. But the good news is the structure can be learned and can be done very well, and I'm going to show you how. First of all, you are going to need a great topic or subject. Maybe your teacher will give you some that you have to work on. Maybe you have the chance to choose a subject. So if you have the chance, just keep in mind it has to be interesting for you, that you have a bigger motivation to work on it, and make sure it's quite current so that you are able to work with not only books but only media through your topic. When you know your subject, then rename it and format it into a scientific question, because at the end your paper will be the answer to this question. But before really getting started in writing, you have to prepare your document. So I'm going with you into the Word document right now. You can prepare almost everything. Let's go ahead. Click your typeface, choose Times New Roman in 12 or Arial in 11 or 12. Then click Justification and Hyphenation, so that your style, your writing style is on point. The line height is used to be 1.5 and the page numbers shall be right down below. And then activate the tab stops so you will be able to see every maybe typing mistake that you did. For those formatting tips, always ask your teacher whether he agrees with my standards. You know, maybe he has something else in mind, then go ahead with those. And to begin with, you can write the title page. Therefore, you're going to write down some information that you already know. The name of your school, the class and the course, your school year, the subject of course in big letters, the author, which is you, and the teacher of course, and then the turnaround, and of course the submission date. Close this page with a page break and you will be so fine. And your whole style is going to be fixed. The next thing you can do is to prepare your paper with the list of your contents for the upcoming chapters. So your document Word will be able to sum up the table of contents automatically at the end when you click the index button. You will need at least those contents: the table of content, the introduction, your main part, and the conclusion, and maybe also the prospect. At the end you will list the bibliography. When you work through your paper, of course, you will rename those content names, those chapter names, because then you will have more information. You'll be able to know what structure you're going to have. But for now, it's just fine that you don't miss a spot. And of course, you can add every time some of those chapters or subchapters. When you have that, you can sample the index, but you have to update it at the end, of course, when you have renamed everything. And check your format and the page numbers before printing. Then you can write the final declaration at the final page of your paper, which just ensures that you worked on your paper on your own and that you only used those sources which you have shown in the whole bibliography. Okay, now comes the fun part, your literature research. This is your chance to act like a big pro. So go ahead, is a university or a bigger school in your town, then go to the library and make sure that you sign up there, because it's no better place to do research than in a library. I just promise. It's so good. You have so many books, you have the internet, you have papers and magazines, everything you need. And of course you see other students and pupils who really work hard for their exams or paper, as you do. So I promise you, you will have a big motivation to go ahead there. Of course, only use your sources which are primary sources, meaning that an author wrote about it for the first time, because when you have like articles or blog posts or movies, could be the problem that somebody filtered the main fact or the original information and has an interpretation on it, and this could be wrong, you know. So make sure you have primary sources. So when you now have your bunch of books, your bunch of paper, make sure you go back to your document and just sum them all up in your sources. So really type down every author, every magazine, every internet page you had. Really don't miss a data, and this is very good if you spend an hour now to really sum up everything you have. It's just your guarantee to be stress-free until the end of your paper. Therefore, click Manage Source and it asks for all necessary information your teacher will also ask for. Then type them down and nothing will be missed. Yeah, later on you will know in detail what source you need or not. So you can mention them by clicking Insert Citation, which is so easy and stress-free at the end. Now that you work through your whole sources for the first time, you are able to do your brainstorming. So, therefore now the first step is to define your scientific question. Maybe rename it or define it now. And then of course filter every fact that you know, whether it suits your question, whether it will answer it or not. I just want to say less is more. Don't come up with too many sub-chapters or sub-contents because it's interesting to you, but it will not really clearly answer your scientific question. Because too much of information will just need too much of your time to work on your paper, and it could be very irritating, of course, to your reader, meaning your teacher. So, and you want to have a good mark, so make sure your paper is clean, has like a good agenda and facts that are really on point. I love brainstorming directly in my document because I can of course change it all up. I can type down all my ideas and I just can cancel them when I don't need it anymore. Well, and after the brainstorming, you will have your structure in mind. So go again into your document and maybe you can rename your contents, meaning the introduction, the main part, and you can write down some ideas for the first time. So now let's face the introduction. With your introduction, you really give the first line, the first impression about your whole topic. You will name your scientific question, and of course you will tell about your motivation, why you picked this subject. Afterwards, within your introduction, you will declare your structure and what chapters will follow up. I myself do not write down the introduction before I even work through the main part. Because I will not know now at the beginning what exact structure I'm going to end with. So this is the reason why I just type down some of my ideas, and then of course I will change them up maybe, and I will write the introduction, really the whole text when I finished at least my whole paper. But this, I think, really saves me a lot of time and stress, and I do not have to work on the introduction twice. Well, then go ahead with your main part, which is the main part of your paper, where you really get into the scientific question and into answering it. Therefore, of course, line down all of your facts, all of your arguments, maybe you come up with a discussion, and if you use tables and illustrations, always make sure that they support your answering process, you know? And if you just use tables and illustrations, go ahead with this. When I use tables, I open a new Excel document to really have my own tables, and within the page layout I make sure that it fits totally with the formatting of my paper. Every table shall have a headline and it shall be numbered, you know, like first, second, third table. So it makes sense that you sum up all of your tables within the table of figures, which can be an additional part of your paper. If you want to come up with illustrations, think about doing those illustrations on your own. Copy-paste is an option, of course, and then you have to mark your source. You have to quote, of course, the illustration as well. But if you really want to redesign the illustration that you choose for your paper, go ahead with the PowerPoint document on your own, because you can just fix the format and design the way you like it, and so it really fits into your whole research paper, which is very great to look at when your teacher will go through your whole paper. Don't forget to have like a subline for every of your illustrations. It has to have its own title and of course numbers on its own as well. So you can also have therefore a certain table of figures as well. Then go on, it's time for your conclusion. Within your conclusion, you give the A to your scientific Q. Therefore, you start with the short resume about your whole paper and of course the answer. Within your conclusion, there's always a place for a prospect if you have found out great other questions or through your whole process. If those questions are interesting to you, then you can mention them to be answered within another paper. Meaning a prospect will impress your teacher most of the time if it's really chosen well, so really stay focused on this point as well. And afterwards you can go under the contents of your chapter bibliography and click bibliography to leave all your sources from A to Z down below. Check it also, so everything is fine, the formatting, the spelling, and you know, maybe some numbers. And then you're almost done. Now it's time for you to read and read and read and read your paper again, so you make sure that there's no spelling mistake, no grammar mistake, nothing like that. And then of course ask somebody to also read your paper, so you have a second opinion about it. Then you can work with the Word document as well. First, click the spelling and grammar button so it will be checked automatically and very well. Then of course make a new version of your document before giving it to somebody else to reread it. This person now has the possibility within Word to really write down some comments when he misses a source, he doesn't understand you, he has another suggestion, things like that. And with those comments you are able to really go into the exact page, exact line to build it all up again. And the other reader has a chance to really work inside your document as well, and you will be able through the markups to see all of his or her changes, and you can decide whether you delete those changes or you accept them by clicking those buttons, and at the end you can choose all the markups to have like your final version of your paper. Then again, check your spelling and grammar. Then again, check all your formatting, and of course it's your time then to print everything. You can print it in hardware and bind it as a book if it's recommended, or if you know, the teacher wants you to do it, or the other way around, just print it as a PDF and put it on a stick, and here you have it, your very own research paper. And for the last fact or part of this video, I just want to give you some more advice to your time management. Let's have the example that you have a turnaround of 6 weeks for your research paper. Then I would just choose the first week to really prepare the whole document and of course to have my whole research done. The last week I will save to of course have the reader corrections and to get my book printed and binded. So you have 4 weeks in between to really work on your paper. And I know you will do it after your school and on the weekends, and therefore I would just recommend my other video, how to work at home productively, which I will link here, so you can check out this as well. So guys, this is it, my recommendation, my tips and advices for you. I hope it helps, and I'm just very interested in knowing what topics, what subjects you have for your upcoming research papers. So please leave me your comments down below. So thank you so much for tuning in, and don't forget, to share and subscribe. I'm looking forward to meeting you there. And now we have it. See you in the next video. Bye bye.